in your tenure. So he's going to come into this with pretty much the roster set, and then it'll allow him that grace period to analyze the prospects, really watch his team, try to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of everybody on this team. And he's coming in feeling like this team has a solid base or a solid foundation that maybe they didn't have. This Fiala situation is interesting. Right now, they don't seem very close. It's just shocking to me that Fiala, in his first full season with the Wild, would want to play this type of hardball. There's just so much stuff. It's like even his hasn't given his equipment, like his sticks and skates and stuff like that, hasn't even given that to the Wild. So all of a sudden, that's stuff that needs to usually be ordered by August 1st, and here it is almost September 1st, and that's not out. So when he comes here, he's going to have to use either equipment that he had last year, or he's going to have to probably, essentially use other players' equipment until his gets in. It just seems like he's kind of MIA, other than you see him on social media. But right now, they've got to. He's going to come in here. I was talking to Bruce yesterday, and Bruce has already changed kind of the lines again. Like he's flipped Fiala and Zuccarello. So now Zuccarello is back with, starting in camp, Parise and Cunnin, but Fiala is going to be on a line to potentially start camp with Zucker and Stahl. Like that thing, to me, if I'm Kevin Fiala, that should whet my appetite to play with those two. So we'll see if he can get it done. There's 13, 14 days before camp for that to happen.
Do you think it's Fiala having too big an ego?
No, I just think, this is business, right? Look, there's a ton of unsigned restricted free agents. There's a price point there that they're negotiating. I don't think it's that. I would never say that about a player. You get certain times to sign contracts. And he's just looking out for himself. And remember Marcus Foligno's first year in Minnesota, he too went right up until the beginning of training camp as well, and then signed. Usually this stuff does get done.
Let's take some live questions. We haven't done a live show since Guerin's hiring. I'm sure there's some good questions about that. Come up, grab the mic, and we'll point to you when it's time for you to do the show. Brandon can help you out. I thought somebody was coming up. We do also want to thank FixologyRepair.com. Usually we see John Hedges, who runs Fixology Repair, at our live shows. Hope to see him again soon. They have opened a new location downtown St. Paul in the Skyway. It's by the Wild offices, by the XL Energy Center. They have that place. They have the downtown Minneapolis location, which is right above Crown Bank in the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. And they have the big ship at Mall of America. It's third floor by Nordstrom's. Any place you take your watch, your iPad, your device, whatever, they can help you. They also sell a lot of cool stuff that's new at the Mall of America.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All three shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on-site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
So I know you are working on a Brock Besser piece. Do you want to preview that?
I met with him yesterday. That story will run tomorrow. Spent all day on it today. In fact, when I went outside to drive here, I'm like, God, I didn't realize it was so nice out today. It would have been nice to have been taking a walk. But I spent probably 6-7 hours kind of crafting this story today. It's a gripping story. Very emotional story. Brock's dad is been in the hospital for a month. Not doing well, had a blood clot. He was diagnosed with, he had cancer 2 years ago. It came back they found out in June. It metastasized to his liver, sternum, and his ribs. They put him on a medication, kind of a chemo maintenance drug. It's not something that's going to probably kill the current cancer, but it'll keep it from spreading, or at least attack the kind of mutant genes, is the way it is explained. And then they were, Lori Besser, who's just the sweetest woman in the world. I feel like I've almost become family friends with the Bessers. I've written so many features on Brock over the several years. And Duke, his dad, is just an incredible person. He's Parkinson's, was in a horrible car accident a couple years ago, and now second bout with cancer. But he was going to go into adult daycare essentially this year because he can't drive anymore. He's got short-term memory loss because of the Parkinson's. So his first day of adult daycare, essentially in Burnsville, he goes to this, comes out, he's laughing, he's telling stories to his family about just this adult daycare. They bring him home, he's still giggling about it as they walk in. And then Lori starts talking to this contractor that's redoing the floors of their Burnsville home, and she hears this thump, and she runs upstairs and finds him convulsing on the floor. Then he said again, it's coming again. And then, boom, he started convulsing again and stopped breathing, and he was without a pulse for 15 minutes. This was on July 29th, the day before the day Paul was fired, I believe, or the day after, or day before, I can't remember. But so they rush him to the hospital. They lose his pulse again. He's been in ICU the last month. Really can't talk. He's got a breathing tube in, a feeding tube in. And now you have Brock here, who is in a contract dispute with Vancouver, so it might allow him to spend more quality time with his dad. But he's about to leave for Vancouver when he signs this deal, and it's just talking about just how what he's been dealing with the last month, dealing with his hero being in this situation and having to fight through yet another piece of adversity in his life, but also the fact that Brock is going to leave and not know if even maybe he might see his dad again, or at a minimum that his mother's going to have to be dealing with this without him. And so it's an emotional story, but extremely, as every Besser story that I write, it ends in a very uplifting way. Talked to his mom yesterday for a long time, and talked to Brock. And as always, I appreciate Brock opening up, cutting these veins open with me. I mean, this kid has dealt with not only what's gone on with his dad, but if you remember, his best friends were in that accident in Lakeville, or Burnsville. About 5 years ago? One passed away. One is seriously injured to this day. And then, there's some funny moments too. He bought himself a house right here in Prior Lake, and he had two of his buddies live with him. Then it became 4. Now it's like every night it sounds like Entourage, like 7, 8 buddies coming over but of all summers for him to have this support system, it's been absolutely huge. So there's some, not that now that you've listened to it, I still hope you read the story, because the as usual with the Bessers, the quotes are unbelievable. It's just a really emotional story. Again, very uplifting. But again, one of those stories that's just draining to write. It's just, right when I was done writing it, I was like, oh my God, I got to drive to Savage now. It was like, got up from my desk and I was just like spent. It's just, because you try to, you want to write these stories in a respectful way, but it's a lot of piecing and crafting and putting a jigsaw puzzle together, and then fact checking a lot of things. When you write about medical jargon, you just pray that nothing's lost in translation. So that story will run on Friday's Athletic. Again, Brock and Lori Besser, many thanks for them to always for opening up to me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Michael. Let's thank Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, works out of Champlin. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. And he's a great guy. He comes out to the shows every once in a while. And he handles financial services as well. You can go to his website. Just Google Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund. You'll find all the services he can provide. He handles all of my stuff. He handles all Michael's stuff. Hoaglund, State Farm Insurance, Champlin, Minnesota.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number 1 in car insurance since World War II and number 1 in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
Yes, sir, Bert.
Okay, I have 2 quick questions. The first one is in the second part of the Q&A with Guerin. He seemed happy with the way the organization is with the people now. What I wanted to know is he on some kind of limitation where he can't poach anybody from the Penguin organization for a time? Or?
Not that I know of. That also doesn't seem like something Jim Rutherford would do. Also, this late in the game, most people are going to stay with their current teams. I think more he really does want to get the lay of the land here. He's working really well with Tommy Curvers right now, who's going to be his assistant GM. So it looks like that capacity won't change for him. Chris O'Hearn is director of hockey operations. I think that Bill is going to take more of a front row seat when it comes to contract negotiations. And I started to hear that Chris O'Hearn has actually had his responsibilities changed a little bit even before Billy was on board. So I think Bill will do some contract negotiations, but I do think that the front office is thin, and then he's going to eventually see here that he's got to probably add some people. PJ Fenton, it'll be interesting to see if his role changes or if he'll run the draft with Darren Yapik again. My guess is that would change. I have a good sense of a couple people that I think that Billy will eventually bring in. But right now, it's pretty much it's business as usual, and I think that he is, not going to take anybody from Pittsburgh, at least in the short term. And the people that he wants, a lot of them are not working for Pittsburgh right now. Like, I know a couple.
The second question is, I know you had reported that the Leopold might get the New Year's Day game here at Target Field. Is it really prestigious anymore to get that now? It's been here a bunch of years. There's outdoor games.
Well, I mean, I think
times,
it would be, again, that's the thing to me about the Winter Classic. It might not, like, to me, I'm bored with it, but I'm bored with it if it's another venue. If it's here in Minnesota locally, it's going to be gigantic. It will be absolutely awesome. The challenges that they're dealing with right now is that the league and NBC, for the first time, as I reported last week, are very, very intrigued about putting it here. And I do genuinely believe that if they could work out one bit of detail that might not be, that fans might love, I think it's coming here in 2021 for their 20th anniversary. But this is the problem that fans are not going to love. And this, I'm just thinking out loud here, is that all these games have been in lately: Notre Dame, the Cotton Bowl, University of Michigan, just gigantic football stadiums that you could squeeze 90,000 people in. Well, Target Field, you can put 40. So revenue-wise, how are they going to handle that? Are they willing to take a major haircut, which they're going to have to, or are they going to all of a sudden take a ticket that's extremely expensive to begin with and up it for the fans, because, from a revenue standpoint. So that's I think the biggest challenge right now that they're having when it comes to that. But I everything I hear from the league, for the first time, like, I talk to the league all the time about this, and before it was always just kind of laughing. And now it sounds like Craig Leopold and Matt Maka and the people that have been really pushing hard to get the one in 2021 so it could be during their 20th anniversary season. It seems like they've made some significant headway. I know that both NBC and the NHL had people here that looked at the Final Four and also the Super Bowl and saw that obviously Minneapolis, St. Paul runs huge events really well. And I think that they're intrigued by that just because of, again, what the timing is. I'll be interested to see who the opponent is if they get the game. I think Winnipeg would be perfect. I don't know if NBC will love that, So we'll see.
Okay. And Julie says she's sorry she couldn't make it, but if you're not going to offer her cookies tonight, she's not coming.
Okay.
Thanks, Bert. Good questions.
So, yeah. By the way, Brusso Radio at the State Fair on Labor Day, 12 to 3. Come on out. Bruce Boudreau and me.
Yes, sir.
Austin, nice to meet you.
Good to be here.
Yep.
Thanks. Got a question.
Yep.
You're in Cabo, your vacation, one time of the year, you actually get to have some time off.
Uh-huh.
Biggest news of the year breaks.
Yeah.
Disappointed? Excited?
No. As Bruce Boudreau said, what would I do in Cabo? I'm going to go sunbathe, go surf. Like, I kind of needed that stuff. No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I knew it was, once Paul Fenton was fired, I was prepped. Trust me. As my editors could tell you, I was prepping them for 3.5 weeks. Like, just get ready. I'm like, I promise you I will work down there, but I might need somebody at the presser. And that's that's exactly what happened. I was able to break the story from down there, but my editor wrote the story, which actually turned out well. Sometimes it was almost refreshing for me to see him write that story because it gets a different writer's voice on The Athletic, and I've written the same story. It's like I have a certain way that I write stories, and there's a certain way that I wrote that story, and I'd written about Guerin so many times in that week leading up to it. It's like I was almost like, oh, what am I going to do again? So then it also worked out perfectly where, you write it for Wednesday, so you kind of have the news. Then you write kind of a feature the morning of the press conference. So now he's got the press conference, and he could write a totally fresh take. So to me, it actually worked out well. And I don't think, to me, the other thing is I think that fans or readers of The Athletic that read this story probably like, oh, it was probably refreshing them to read somebody else that might be a tad better writer than me.